Hey guys, the holiday season is here. Christmas is just around the corner, and by far the most sought after, desirable stocking stuffer that is photographically related is this little guy right here. The Kodak Charmera. These are really hard to get, but we do have one for you guys. We're going to unbox this and take a look at it. This is a masterclass in marketing, and I definitely want to talk about that. This is a little keychain that happens to take digital photos and videos, and today we're going to discover if it is a charming camera indeed, or if it's even worth your money. I'm Chris Niccolls, and this is PetaPixel. Okay, so these are the Labubu's of the photographic industry this year. Everybody wants one, but they just didn't make enough, and they're in huge demand. And I think a part of that is the charm of not knowing what you're gonna get. This is a blind box product. It's like gachapon, you know, you're gonna get it out of there and hopefully get the one that you want. And there's 6 options available. They're all sort of retro inspired. You have a 1 in 6 chance of getting a different color. We're gonna find out what we got here. There is also a 7th mystery one. This is a transparent edition. You only have a 1 in 48 chance of getting this, and they're so popular right now. They're going for, you know, hundreds of dollars on eBay if you want to just cut the whole mystery and guess and just get one yourself. There's also a 6-pack you can get where you're guaranteed to get one of each of the basic color options. And as sad as it is, going to eBay might be an option for a lot of people because these are only $30 to buy, but they're so back ordered that most people aren't going to get one until well after Christmas. And then after a review, you might even realize you don't want one anyways. We're going to explain that to you, but there is another alternative. You could just skip this and go to cage.com, because the fact of the matter is there are tons of cameras on there that are very affordable, well under $100 for some very capable but still classic vintage point and shoot compact cameras. And unlike the Kodak Charmera, when you go to cage.com, you do know what you're gonna get before you get the box in your house, because they tell you exactly what to expect. Is it going to be a bargain? Is it going to have damage? Is it going to be pristine and mint? They explain all this to you on the website. You can see all the different price points. And if you buy it and still have buyer's remorse, they have a generous return policy. And on a serious note, guys, I mean, there is a real issue that I've been talking about with this camera and with many like it, where a lot of these things are brand new and they might just end up in a landfill quicker than you know it. And the great thing about going to cage.com is you got all these used cameras that deserve a second home, have lots of life left in them. And by buying those, you keep those out of the landfill and you really get use out of them. And so I really want to consider that. They're like the rescue pet of photographic cameras. Why make new ones when you've got these perfectly good used ones that have a lot of life left in them? So check out cage.com. We highly recommend you visit them. They're PetaPixel's official pre-owned camera gear partner. So these are very hard to get, yes, and we were very fortunate that Kodak actually sent us one to play with and review. And I know that I'm going to be skeptical about this. I'm going to be no fun Niccolls, but to really understand why are these actually so sought after, we're actually going to go to our very own Sarah Tang, because she spent her own hard-earned cash to get one of these for herself. She really digs the idea, and so let's learn more from her on what's so charming about the Kodak Charmera.
Hi Chris, thanks for asking. I bought the camera because it is the cutest, smallest little camera I've ever seen in my life. It literally fits on my keys and I can take it with me everywhere. And it's not that I expect the photos to be good. I actually don't expect them to be good at all, but that's kind of the whole point. I think $30 is a relatively small price to pay for vibes. And because the boom of the digital camera, like the Digicam specifically, is back. So, you know, I think it's a fun camera, especially with all the complicated technical gear on the market these days. The smaller the camera, to me, equals more fun. And this one is, again, one of the smallest I've ever seen. So I like it.
Oh, the red one. All right. I actually like that. I wanted the red one. The other ones are like blues and grays or blacks or whatever. I think this and like the retro yellow would look really cool, but we did not get the transparent one, so I'm gonna have to pay for those Christmas gifts somehow else. But you know, this is really cool. So like, look at this. We get this like classic Kodak ad. Very nicely done. Look at that. Classic print material. Ooh, all your different variations, all the filters. There's our little keychain attachment. I will be doing that. And look at that nice little collector card for my red version of this camera. Okay, so let's get to grips with this camera here, okay? Obviously very small, very basic interface here. So first off, Connecting this camera, there is a USB-C port. They give you the cable. It just goes to type A for like an old school brick. And you can charge it up because it's an internal battery that's running off of. I'm going to figure out how long that's actually going to last in most cases. This is important I want to talk about. Micro SD card slot for storage. This only has enough internal storage for like 2 photos. So the idea is if you give this to somebody as a gift and they open it up on Christmas morning, they can at least play with it, but it's completely impractical. You're definitely going to want to get a micro SD card. I'm going to throw a 64 gig card in here because I'm crazy and that's all I have. And this will support up to a 128 gig card, but this is going to be like 10,000 photos. It's not practical. Make sure that you buy like a $10 1 gig card or something. That would be plenty for this, and give that along with it so somebody can actually use it. The files are tiny. These are 1.6 megapixel shots, okay? Incredibly low resolution. Otherwise, of course, I'm going to throw the keychain right on here so I can take this around. I've got a little up and down arrow button on the back. I got a playback button. There is a display on the back here. It looks very small. And then there's also a viewfinder, optical viewfinder. It looks even smaller. There's my shutter button. I mean, I've got a little LED light, it looks like here, and a plastic lens up here. So I'm going to get to grips with this. I actually have an event that I'm going to go shoot with the family. It'll be a good test for this. So I'm going to play with that. And when I see you guys again, I'll have my thoughts and feedback on whether this is actually worth it and what the experience is like shooting it. All right, so I'm back. I had a really fun time with the family at a place called Heritage Park where I could shoot old-timey stuff with this camera, which is based on an old-time camera, the Kodak Flip, which is an old 110 camera. I had fun with the family, but did I have fun with this camera? Well, let's start with the handling. I mean, the real charm of these cameras is just how compact they actually are. It's very easy to carry everywhere you go, fits in a pocket, literally keychain size and design. And because it's shaped after a 110 camera, they often have this butter stick shape to them. It's actually quite easy to hold on to this camera and pinch it. I was surprised how comfortable it was to actually shoot this one-handed and use it. Okay, so first off, composing with this camera. It's a terrible experience, but I'm actually not that upset about it just because there's no stakes here. I mean, I'm just basically, after a while, pointing this thing to shooting and seeing what I get, not really worrying about it. You can use this little optical viewfinder. It's quite a bit tighter than the field of view that you actually get, but you know, in a pinch, it actually does work to frame up your subjects. But I found myself using the little back LCD panel, which you can compose with. The problem is it's absolutely tiny, and even with my kids' good eyes, they still couldn't really see any detail clearly on the screen, let alone my old man eyes. So I was roughly just composing based on blobs and shapes with it, but it worked okay. And the UI itself, although very basic, is actually surprisingly usable. I mean, I have an on-off switch here. One downside, you got to hold this on-off switch for like 3 seconds to get the camera to turn on. It's brutal. There's no way you're going to capture anything like fast action or anything like that unless you have amazing foresight. But once you get in there, you have a playback button, which is also your main selection button. And then you've got these up and down arrows, and these simply cycle through all of your different frames and color options, which I'm going to talk about shortly. But overall, the interface wasn't that bad. When you turn the camera on, it asks you if you want to shoot photos, video, or set your date and time and turn that on. And you can do that if you want to. And then once you've selected that, you're ready to shoot. Now, I found I have to reselect that every time I turn the camera on, which is a bit of a pain. But to its credit, I do like that every time I turn this camera on, it defaults to the standard color mode. So even if I was messing in a weird frame or something like that, it doesn't start there. I prefer that. But if you want it to use the last thing that you were using, you're gonna have to select it again.
All right, it's Jordan Drake jumping in here really quickly because this Charmera camera is so small. I knew for this episode we were gonna be relying on a lot of close-up B-roll, and I just quickly want to talk about how I light it, which is using the Westcott L60B constant lights. And what I really like about these is they're extremely compact, so it's really easy to maneuver them quickly and get them in kind of odd angles when I'm shooting small products, but also you can really adjust the output in extremely fine increments from 1% all the way up to 100%, and they're color tunable as well, so I can very quickly match them to different light sources or backgrounds, or just change the color temperature for a bit of an effect. I also like that if you get the kit, it comes with this small octo-box switch, which is really compact, and again, it's nice when I want to get in very close to a small subject. Easy to do without having a giant softbox, but it still provides me with really nice quality of light. So if you're looking to do this kind of work, I really recommend the Westcott L60B kit. You can click the link in the description below or go to fjwestcott.com to find out more. That's why Westcott is PetaPixel's preferred lighting partner.
Okay, so what about the images out of this camera? Well, okay, I mean, they're really bad resolution. I've already talked about that, but also incredibly lacking in detail. I mean, there's no sharpness. If you shoot in lower light situations, it gets even worse. Like just a wormy overall texture, super soft looking, really mushy. Overall, yeah, it's just not good image quality. And I get it because it's only a $30 camera, sure. But that being said, we reviewed the Bluey camera. It was a toy camera. It wasn't much more money. You should check out that video. It's a fun one. And that camera's dog. But I still feel like the image quality was better than what this can deliver. So we got to really keep that in mind. I know a lot of reviewers out there are going to call this a vibe, and it's like cool, and it reminds you of your cell phone when you first had one in the 90s and stuff. I get it, but it's just not that great to look at. But what about the fun frames and the color filters? Let's talk about that next. Okay, so first off, the standard color filter. This is your general purpose one that the camera defaults to, and this will give you your most natural color as well as probably I'd say the best tonal range. Although the dynamic range is still garbage, you'll notice highlights block up immediately. You're not getting shadow detail, okay, I get it. But that gives you the most tonality. The other color filter modes you can select just by pushing the up and down arrows, and you really want to pay attention to the icon at the bottom because that will remind you what you're using, because it's actually really hard to tell on this back screen because they all just look like mush. So there is a black and white mode, which actually has okay tonal range, and then you have what I would say is like a warm or sepia tone, and then as well as like a blue or cold tone option. And then you have some more extreme color modes here. So there is a gray tone, a red tone, a blue tone, and a Kodak yellow tone. And these are like ultra high contrast. Like it reminds me of the title screen from like a Zork video game. And if you know that reference, well, yeah, you get the image quality. Yeah, God help you. You probably need to get your prostate checked. So anyways, these color filters are so high contrast, and what the camera does for exposures when you point it at a scene, it actually takes a little bit of time for it to adjust to that. If you shoot too quickly, you're not going to get any tonal range. It's basically just primary color. If you wait a little bit, you'll start to get some more detail. You really got to play around with it. But basically, it's just giving you like primary color and then black shadows. Sometimes it's kind of fun, sometimes it's kind of scary looking, but that's what you get. Lastly, there are some fun frames, and so there's like a Kodak analog film frame, there's this sort of like festive little Kodak colors and Ks and cameras around the scene, and then there's one that gives you a sort of like widescreen video frame with the camera around it. That's kind of fun. I mean, you might have fun playing with these things. It's pretty standard toy camera affair. Now this camera does also shoot video. It's not 16:9, it's 4:3, like 1440 by 1080 if you can believe it. 1080 lines of vertical resolution, but Blu-ray quality this is not. As you can see here, we get lots of artifacts, compression artifacts. It's brutal looking. If you move the camera even a little bit, anything that's moving like shimmers and looks terrible. And there's tons of rolling shutter as well. So, you know, I could see people might want to put on Instagram the photos, right? Because it's retro and it's cool and oh, I got my Charmera. The video, I don't think you'd really want to show anybody. It's just that bad. And it does actually have, to its credit, a microphone to record ambient audio, but it's pretty terrible.
Hi, I'm Jordan Drake, and the sound on this is bad.
Now for battery life, this does use an internal battery. I don't always love that because I feel like, how are you going to recycle this? So you need to throw it out and there's a battery in there. It's no good, but it's going to happen anyways. And so, you know, what I would say about the battery life is it's surprisingly long lasting. In fact, the first time I took this out, I didn't really get to charge it, and it only had 1 bar of charge, and still I got about 130 photos and it didn't die. It was still going. Sometimes it'll get a little bit warm if you're shooting a lot, but I was surprised how much shots I got on 1 bar. So on a full bar, I'm not worried. It's going to shoot all day long. So I know I'm being quite negative about the creative potential and output of this camera, and I do stand by that. I don't think it's very good at all. But Does that still make this a fun experience? Can this be a charming experience? Well, yeah, absolutely. So I let my daughter play with this a little bit out there, and of course she found it fun. She's liking the size and the look of it. She found it easy to use, and she's just having fun taking photos of whatever comes around, and that is where the appeal of this is. And I get also that because this has such a small size, you can take it anywhere, so there's some merit to this being this little camera that you always have with you to do fun stuff with. That being said, I do feel like, as I've seen with a lot of other toy cameras, the appeal falls off really quickly, right? I mean, yes, this is a great little Christmas ornament to throw on the tree, and it's a fun gift, and that's why a lot of people are buying it, but with that internal battery and just the fact that, I think people are going to get tired of the experience, I worry that this is just going to end up in a drawer. The battery is going to peter out completely. It's not going to hold the charge anymore. And this is just going to end up in the garbage like so many other little $30 toys that we get our kids and our family members. And another funny experience that I had here, I keep using the word charming because of course it's in the name, but this camera does have some charming potential. I love the fact that they're playing on the retro Kodak vibe, and I mean, they've done that so well. This is a marketing masterpiece, absolutely. The way that they've set this up as a product, it's absolutely selling like crazy because it sells this vibe and this feeling and the spirit of having a classic experience. And people on the street were actually noticing, as small as this camera is in my hand, looking at it, be like, is that a camera? That's really cool. And then spurting a conversation and talking about this little product. So it certainly gets a lot of people excited. So if you're looking for a compact, discreet little gift to give and you don't mind contributing to a bunch of e-waste, well then here it is, the Kodak Charmera. But as always, we always appreciate your feedback, so leave that in the comments below. Let us know what you think about this little camera, products like it. Also, do check out the PetaPixel podcast. You can find it on this exact same channel or all your favorite podcasting apps. And consider supporting us with a PetaPixel.com membership. It actually supports our entire team, the writers, the staff, the editors, and Jordan and myself to do fun projects and do stuff for you and just enhance the content that we offer. Plus, you can peruse the website ad-free. You get access to our sample gallery so you can see these photos for yourself and evaluate them, as well as big discounts on merch stores, cage.com, money back at the moment store. There's so many benefits to doing that. All right, guys, enjoy. I hope you guys all have a wonderful holiday time. We'll see you soon with more on PetaPixel.